My African people, I believe you have already heard the EU says they are ready to fund Ecowas to undertake a military intervention against the revolutionary government in Niger. I want to say that I'm also very pleased and happy to say that our very own young, energetic and patriotic leaders, Ismail Traore and Mamadi Doumbouya and Assimi Goïta, are saying any attack on Niger, any military intervention by Ecowas against Niger shall be a declaration of war against Burkina Faso, against...
I want to ask you one question. Many Africans are dying. If you see, like this video, when I was interviewing this guy, if you see this video, this guy is dying, he's sick, he's having a problem, he's having a sickness which he doesn't know, whether cancer, whether what. The legs from here to here are going to be cut down. He's expecting this lower leg, these lower thumbs, all the legs to be cut down. Instead of fighting, instead of taking the little of Africans have, why don't you hope like these people? Why don't you hope like these people? These people are dying. These people are suffering. Africans are suffering. Africans and diseases are suffering with diseases. Why don't you help these people? Yes, wherever you are, how are you? How are you doing? So today I want to talk on an issue that is going within African issues, African continent, that are hurting and halting the Ugandans, Burkina Faso, Niger, and more other African countries. You've seen many African presidents, they went to meet Vladimir Putin of president of Russia, and really they had to say the itching issues in the African. If you're there and you're watching from wherever you are, I don't know which country you're in, but thank you for watching. I hope you subscribed and you tapped a bell button and you had to hit a like button and you share to a friend. That is enough for me as an African, and that is enough for me, for the viewers who support me. Thank you so much. So today I want to talk about the issue which are itching Africans. You Africans are really feeling hurt with the way how some whites are handling Africans. I'm not meaning all Africans, and this video is not, it is not insulting violence. The video is all about keeping countries calm and advisory issue. So if you're there watching, you've seen the president of Burkina Faso, Ibrahim Traore, are talking about the issues which are itching Africa and issues that they would not wish to see in Africa. President Museveni, in the meeting, the president of Uganda, His Excellency, still he was talking about the issue that is going on in the market in Africa and which is itching African president and youth and other African at large. Thank you so much for the president of Africans that represented Africans in that convention. We really like that. But now, you people, I want to ask you, the people, I want to ask the people, I don't know whether white or black, whether African or what, that do really target on the issues of exploiting everything that is going on in Africa. That's what I want to know. How do you feel really when many people, Africans, are being killed and many people are dying? So the Burkina Faso president went and met the president of Niger, and really they said if Ecowas, this is I think I can say this is a group that is connected with a lot of army soldiers that come as a group in Africa trying to say they are stabilizing Africa. By the end, the presidents of Africa have realized that these people, some of them, they come to take the minerals, and that was their issue. But I want to ask you, Ecowas, many people, many Africans, if you see the African countries, people are dying. People have nothing to eat. People are suffering. People are dying of diseases. People are passing through a critical condition, finding ways of surviving. Why don't you have mercy to find that instead of taking a little of Africans have, you take at least 50%. You share. We believe that you put in, at least let's assume you put in some money to invest in these things and explore them. But why do you take all of them? These minerals were created by God. These minerals are set for Africans as their gift of survival. They have nothing. I want you to listen to the audio of this person. He was saying, really, if you people are still looking at the ways of taking the African things, they are going to gather and fight you. Whereby we don't think that is good. Fighting is never a solution, because the more you fight, the more people are dying. Not only Africans, but even other, like you European people that come to take the African things. I don't think all of them will remain with life.
My African people, I believe you have already heard the EU says they are ready to fund Ecowas to undertake a military intervention against the revolutionary government in Niger. I want to say that I'm also very pleased and happy to say that our very own young, energetic and patriotic leaders, Ismail Traore and Mamadi Doumbouya and Assimi Goïta, are saying any attack on Niger, any military intervention by Ecowas against Niger shall be a declaration of war against Burkina Faso, against Mali and Guinea. But now that is not all. I think we all need to make it very clear that any military intervention by Ecowas in Niger will be a clear declaration of war against the youth of Africa, because we know the old guard are only serving the interest of the imperialists. Now, through this video, I want to urge our very own African patriotic leaders and revolutionary leaders, Ismail Traore, Your Excellency Mamadi Doumbouya, and Your Excellency Assimi Goïta. It is time for you to organize a foreign legion of African youth for Niger, so that we meet the white imperialists pretending to be Ecowas on the battleground and we sort our differences once and for all. These people enslaved our ancestors. They stole our minerals, and they are still stealing our minerals in Congo, in Somalia, in Benin, everywhere. And they have been using our grandfathers, our fathers, pretending to be Ecowas, pretending to be African Union, pretending to be IGAD, and all this rubbish. Now is the time. President Ibrahim Traore, President Mamadi Doumbouya, President Assimi Goïta, create recruitment centers for African youth all over Burkina Faso, all over Guinea, all over Chad, all over Mali. Let the youth come and defend the continent. Personally, I'm on the next bus, only asking myself, where is the destination? And we are coming to defend Niger, and we are coming to defend Africa against imperialism. All these old guards have been working for decades for the Western oppressor. They are the slave traders who sold our grandfathers, sold our fathers into slavery. IGAD has no moral authority to comment on what is going on in Niger, because when the people of Niger are suffering, they don't say anything. When the people of any country are suffering, they don't say anything. So it's African Union. Countries have tried to change power by ballot paper, and this African Union fools send their observers who come and legitimize irregular elections. Now, when we find the only solution are schools, and then they want to say they have a better solution. They don't have any better solution. Let them come and meet the African youth on the battlefield. We have nothing to lose as Africa, but we have something to gain. Our legitimacy, our supremacy, our pride. So, President Ismail Traore, President Assimi Goïta, and President Mamadi Doumbouya open the centers for the Foreign Legion of Niger, and let's get the youth ready before EU sends their money to IGAD, and IGAD, the few fools within IGAD make a lot of money.
I was telling you, instead of fighting, instead of looking at the way of this, President Museveni in the meeting, I will put these clips. I'll put these clips. If you don't go off, I'm going to put for you these clips when these presidents are talking about the issues which are itching the Africans. He said, one of the exported agricultural product in Africa is coffee, but you can find estimatedly that over 100% African countries take like 1%. Real? Is that real fair? I would suggest, since you put in your money, let at least take 50 and 50 after the expenses have been deducted. Equal balance, 50 and 50, that is fair. But for you, if you're taking a lot of things, you're just exploring everything. You take all the means. What do you expect? You the one who is insulting what will happen. Because many of these people, they are feeling like they are not gaining anything. Africans feel like you're taking everything. So Ecowas, the president of Burkina Faso, went in the meeting and met the president of Niger. This is where they say a statement. If Ecowas, that is countries like UK, countries like America, and more, they stated, and they were very open. They said, if we see any of these people from those countries coming here, it will be a free declaration of war. Remember very well that President Ibrahim Traoré, the guy of 34, currently now 35, just in a 1 year seat of Burkina Faso, I want you to remember that he's one of the best friend with the President Putin. And with that, when he was in Niger, he said, you people, I don't want you to get scared. We are going to unite forces to fight every person that comes here. Currently, I want to ask you one question. Many Africans are dying. If you see, like this video, when I was interviewing this guy, if you see this video, this guy is dying, he's sick, he's having a problem, he's having a sickness which he doesn't know, whether cancer, whether what. The legs from here to here are going to be cut down. He's expecting this lower leg, these lower thumbs, all the legs to be cut down. Instead of fighting, instead of taking the little of Africans have, why don't you hope like these people? Why don't you hope like these people? These people are dying. These people are suffering. Africans are suffering. Africans and diseases are suffering with diseases. Why don't you hope these people? But for you there, everything, a little thing of Africans have, you want to take it. You're the one who is insulting. Don't you want Africans to have life? Don't you want to see them having a happy life? Why do you really bring things, take everything that they have instead of supporting them? In fact, I want to request you, I want to request you one thing. If you're seeing this video of this guy, he's dying. He was told the legs will be cut down. If you're watching this video and you have any little coin, whether an African, whether you're white, because we believe there are white people who are there and they love Africans and they love supporting. If you're there and you're watching this video, I'm going to request you one favor. Any coin, any single money, any, whether $1, whether one what, whether 10, whether 10,000, whether 100, whether 1,000, please help this guy. He's dying. He doesn't know what is happening. He was requested a lot of money in the hospital. If you're there and you can help, you can see my number there. I'm located in Uganda. You can WhatsApp me on that number. Or call me. Any coin that you feel you would love to support with this guy. Because he's dying. He's dying. You people, instead of taking a little of Africans have, at least support the needy. We really appreciate that. Support the needy. Do things that will make Africans feel like you're really serving. But many of you just want to take even a little. We believe there are those people with a good heart. If you're there and you can help this guy, please hope. Please hope. This guy is dying and he was told all the legs are going to be cut off. He doesn't know what is itching him. He doesn't know whether cancer, because bones are broken. Everything is taken. Everything in the body is not functioning. When I was having an interview with this person, I felt like crying because of the pain he's passing through. So I don't want to talk much. If you're there and you can help this guy, instead of taking a little, Africans, let's help our fellow Africans. If some of whites cannot help us, but those whites who can help, please help this guy. So I want to give you the clips of these people talking and President Museveni talking.
President Museveni, the floor is yours.
His Excellency President Vladimir Putin, Their Excellencies, the African heads of state and government, the people of Uganda send you greetings and well wishes. I have had the good fortune of watching and participating in freedom activities in our area for the last 60 years plus. In order to understand the struggles we have been involved in, we should be reminded that by 1900, the whole of Africa had been colonized except for Ethiopia. This colonization followed 500 years of taking slaves from Africa and the devastation that criminal trade caused. It was not only Africa that was colonized, but also much of Asia, India, Indonesia, Indochina, Burma, the Philippines, Malaysia, etc., and the subjugation and extermination of the indigenous people of the Americas and Australia. However, these criminal acts by the imperialists, the slave trade and colonialism, provoked the colonized people into launching a resistance movement by some of the black people in the United States of America, in the persons of Du Bois and Pademont, who launched the Pan-African movement. This was the first step. Secondly, in 1912, the African National Congress of South Africa was launched, led by new resistance fighters, different from before, when the leaders of the resistance were the kings and chiefs, such as Kabarega of Uganda, Mkwawa of Tanzania, Lobengura of Zimbabwe, Mwanga of Uganda. Thirdly, the huge country of the Soviet Union was taken over by communists in 1917, and so was the huge country of China in 1949. Those communists were staunch anti-imperialists. Fourthly, our good fortune was that the greedy imperialists started fighting among themselves over us. I'm referring here to the so-called First and Second World Wars. In effect, these were inter-imperialist wars vying for domination of the world. In those wars, the imperialists weakened themselves to the advantage of the anti-colonial movement. That is how India, Pakistan, Indonesia, etc. got independence. Some of the imperialists tried to cling to colonies, but they were defeated in Algeria, Vietnam, Kenya, Mozambique, Angola, Guinea-Bissau, Cape Verde, Zimbabwe, Namibia, and South Africa. Fifthly, even within the imperialist countries, we had allies that were against the evil system. People like Fena Brockway, Dingo Foot, Olof Palme were with us and with our parents before us in opposing this evil system. It is these 5 factors that caused the defeat of the imperialism and restored our sovereignty to some extent. These are, again, the anti-colonial movement in Africa, Asia and Latin America, the rise of communism in the Soviet Union, China, Cuba, North Korea, etc., the 2 inter-imperialist wars of the last century that caused the weakening of the imperialist countries to our advantage, even when our parents were used as cannon fodder in those criminal wars, fighting the Japanese in Burma, the Italians in Ethiopia, the Germans in North Africa and Europe. Then 5th, the Pan-African movement launched by some of the black people in the United States of America, and the support by some fair-minded persons in the imperialist countries, persons, as I've already said, like Fena Brockway, Dingo Foot, all of Parliament, and others. We are therefore happy to be here in Russia, and we take this opportunity to thank the Soviet peoples and other socialist countries for that support. However, flag independence did not, in the majority of cases in Africa, mean healthy disengagement with imperialist economies. Up to now, many of the African economies still face the bottlenecks and distortions of the colonial era. Although some progress has been achieved, a lot remains to be done. That is why you hear that the GDP of Africa is currently US dollars 2.7 trillion, smaller than the individual economies of countries like Japan, Germany, etc., not to mention the United States or China. This stunting of the African economies is caused by a number of bottlenecks that I may not have time to enumerate here. We have, however, identified them, and we are handling them together with our brothers in the African Union. However, one example can bring out some of these bottlenecks. This is the issue of coffee. The global value of coffee businesses currently is US dollars 460 billion. 460 billion. This is the value of the coffee in the world. However, all the coffee producing countries in the world, Africa, Brazil, Colombia, Vietnam, all of us, take only US dollars 25 billion out of this. The coffee business in the world, 460 billion. All of us, the coffee producers in the world, our share, $25 billion. Africa's share is US dollars 2.5 billion. Out of the 460 billion, Africa's share is 2.4 billion. With Uganda taking $800 million, because we are now producing 800 million bags of 60 kilograms each. Germany, a non-coffee producing country, earns US dollars from coffee, 6.85 billion from coffee, more than all the African coffee producing countries. My young friend from Burkina Faso was asking about this, where the problem is. I could see he's very worried, our young soldier there. So you have the answer here. This is part of modern slavery. This is the modern slavery. What is causing this? Africa being locked into and also locking itself into only producing raw materials of agriculture, minerals, etc., and abstaining from adding value. A kilogram of good coffee today earns about US dollars 2.5. The same kilogram roasted and processed outside Africa earns about US $40. So we get $2.5 for a kilo of coffee. Somebody who is clever outside gets $40. This is the hemorrhage that has stunted Africa's growth. There are other bottlenecks, but I do not have time to go into them. Therefore, my proposal to our allies of Russia, India, China, etc., is to point out to them that they could help here by policy decisions to buy value-added products from Africa rather than raw materials. Those are products like processed coffee instead of bean coffee, chocolate instead of cocoa beans, textiles instead of just cotton, steel instead of iron ore. Iron ore, we call it, our languages are richer than English, we call it obtare. Obtare, that's iron ore, different from the metal. Electric batteries instead of just lithium, etc. Part of the issues we are solving among ourselves in Africa is the issue of the free flow of goods and services in the continental free trade area. If this is addressed, the other problem of food, which people are talking about so much, for African societies, will also be partially addressed. In Uganda, we don't have a problem of food. Uganda is a net exporter of food. Products like maize, milk, bananas, fruits, fish, cassava, not to mention beverages like coffee, tea, cocoa, vanilla, etc., are produced in big quantities, and with irrigation, bigger quantities are possible. Without irrigation, our farmers produce 5.3 tons of bananas per hectare. With irrigation and fertilizers, that production has gone 53 tons per hectare in some of the government-supported farms. It is therefore important for our partners to know that some of the African countries, such as Uganda, produce huge quantities of food, and moreover, food of unique nutritional value, beef with yellow fat, instead of the cholesterol-laden types you get from many parts of the world, potassium-rich bananas, high cream milk, fish with a nuni, Nile perch bladder, that is a cure for some maladies, millet with protein, carbohydrates, and iron together. What we actually need are markets in both Africa and beyond. This is part of the problem. Some of the African countries have got a lot of food, but they cannot sell it to the other countries because of the trade barriers within Africa. Secondly, you could also encourage your companies.
Кроме того, вы можете также работать с своими компаниями, чтобы они сами способствовали созданию добавочной стоимости в Африке.
Value addition to the abundant raw materials in Africa means more jobs for the unemployed African youth that are dying in the Mediterranean trying to reach Europe, and more money in their pockets. They will then afford to pay for more electricity generated by turbines made from outside, which creates more jobs and money for the turbine producers outside. After some delays, we in Africa are making some good moves. One of them is the CFTA, the Continental Free Trade Area, that is uniting the huge market of Africa of 1.5 billion people. We shall be 2.5 billion in the next 30 years. Remember that Africa is 12 times bigger than India in land area. But until recently, the population of India has been bigger than that of Africa. Therefore, Africa has actually been underpopulated for much of the millennia. The fact that it is the origin of man, Homo sapiens sapiens, 4.5 million years ago, notwithstanding. Today, on account of modern medicine, Africa will have optimal population for the first time in human history. Finally, those who foment wars on account of ideological issues are wrong and they are time and opportunity wasters. Human history will move on whether they like it or not. Did the religious wars in Europe impose religious conformity in the world? You remember there were people who wanted to make sure that everybody is a Catholic, wanted to make sure, and they were using war, and what happened? They failed. Did Metternich, there was the Austria of the Austro-Hungarian Empire called Metternich. Did Metternich's Holy Alliance stop the spread of capitalism and the overthrow of feudalism? When there was a revolution in France in 1789, this revolution was a bourgeois revolution, was a capitalist revolution. Now, Metternich was supporting feudalism, and his answer was to launch war to defeat the capitalist movement in France. But he failed. The only justified wars are the just wars, like the anti-colonial wars. Wars of hegemony will fail and waste time and opportunity. Dialogue is the correct way. I thank you. Thank you so much.